Good Friday morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing. Here's our fire potential impact map. We're expecting no significant impacts. We've had significant wetting rains across at least the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin, and cool, moist conditions will linger into next week, as we'll see with the upcoming charts. Looking at precipitation over the past 7 days, you can see significant amounts here across eastern Idaho into Wyoming. This first shade of green is at 1 to 2 inches. 2 inches to 4 inches in that darkest shade of green, and that continues into much of Utah as well. Darker shades of blue are somewhere between a quarter to a half inch to as much as an inch of rain. Only areas to really escape significant precipitation was parts of south central Nevada and far western portions of Nevada. And taking a look at our fuels, our localized ERC map shows all of our reporting stations in the green, which means they're below the 50th percentile and quite well below, especially across northern areas, so we have no significant fuel concerns at this time. Here's a look at our upper level map with infrared satellite imagery. An unseasonably deep low pressure system over far northwest California, bringing lots of moisture across the Great Basin. These enhanced areas in blue are some of the heavier showers and thunderstorms that moved through yesterday, and you can see there's more to come through, especially across Nevada, probably missing far southern portions of Utah and the Arizona Strip, but otherwise most areas will stay cool and moist as long as this low pressure area continues to remain in our region. Here's our upper level map with humidity levels in the green, and you can see with this low, cool, moist conditions, under this darkest green is where you'll have probably steady showers and maybe even some higher elevation snows. This low is quite cold, so some of the snow levels could get down to near 7,000 feet, especially across the mountains of Idaho and parts of Wyoming. So we'll have to watch that, so definitely no major concerns. Otherwise, though, there will be some gusty southwest winds ahead of this system, and we see some of these tannish colors through here. Humidity levels, although not critically dry, should be near 20% or maybe even slightly below during the peak heating hours across far southern Utah and parts of far northwest Arizona. Now what you'll see is this broad trough of low pressure is a very slow mover. This is Saturday afternoon, still lots of clouds, lots of showers. We're in the midst of that cool trough. Gusty southwest winds across far southern areas, again with slightly drier humidity levels. And by Sunday afternoon, that low starts to lift out, but still lingering amounts of moisture across the northern half of the geographic area. Breezy and drier, though, across our southern areas. We'll have to watch and see if that continues. But by Monday afternoon, we see another wave of low pressure get ingested into the system. Some more clouds and high humidity by these green shades in about two-thirds of our area. Not as dry across our southern areas. And still, by Tuesday afternoon, cool and unsettled and fairly cloudy with some showers across much of the area as this trough of low pressure remains stubbornly stuck across the region. And still, through late Wednesday and into late Thursday, lingering low pressure, not as strong as earlier in the week, but still lots of clouds given by the green shades, and slightly cooler than normal temperatures in many areas. So again, no significant concerns from a large-scale weather perspective. So looking at weather conditions on the surface over the next 3 days during the afternoon hour, starting with this afternoon on Friday. On the left are peak wind gusts, and they're quite strong. Some of these orange and reddish shades here could approach 40 miles an hour. We look on the right-hand side what the humidity is, and some of those drier pockets, humidity somewhere in the upper teens to low 20%. But you can see many areas are somewhere towards 40, 50, 60% for afternoon humidity. So despite the wind, right now the humidities are not critically dry, and even where they are fairly dry, the grasses are still fairly green, just starting to cure out a bit across southern areas only. If we take a look towards Saturday, we'll see that on the left-hand side, those gusty winds somewhere in excess of 30 to 40 miles per hour, and those yellow and reddish shades continue across southeast Utah, lighter winds to the north, and in those gusty areas, humidity levels somewhere in the mid to upper teens during the afternoon hours, but again, fuels are still fairly moist. And taking a look at Sunday, we see the winds really starting to diminish here. No significant wind gusts, except maybe pushing in the 20s in southern areas. Humidity, again, still in the teens near 20. So in some of our southern areas, much different from 80% of the remainder of the geographic area, there could be a bit of curing going on as they won't see as much rainfall and it will be significantly drier, but right now still no significant fire impacts to speak of. Looking at rainfall over the next 7 days totaled up, you can see significant amounts across Idaho and Wyoming, close to 2 inches or even locally higher amounts, and we'll have to watch the snow levels. Could be a quick foot or more of wet heavy snow above about 7,000 feet in those higher areas, maybe 8,000 feet in the Uintas and parts of the Rubies. You can see our southern areas really get stripped out quite a bit with very little, if any, precipitation. So that is where we are expecting some of our grasses and finer fuels to start curing out over the next 7 days, but not drastically, as we're not really that hot or that dry. It'll be a slow, gradual process. And taking a look at our 7-day outlook, we see that on the right-hand side, all of our zones from Idaho, Wyoming, all the way through Utah, Nevada, and northwest Arizona stay in the green or moist category throughout the period, so our map does not change as we go through the next 7 days. Looking at the following 8 to 14-day outlook from May 27th on through June 2nd, we continue with a cooler than normal signal for at least the eastern 2/3 of the Great Basin, starting to warm up a little bit, or at least get back to normal across our western and northern areas. And you can see precipitation-wise, after the next couple of days, the following week should be significantly drier. And that concludes our briefing. Have a great weekend. Our next briefing will be coming up this Monday, May 23rd.